Hello once again, everybody. It's Saturday afternoon. It's a beautiful day outside. It's about 85 degrees. Looking at this horseshit documentation once again. This is Exhibit B in a motion for emergency custody against Lynn Ormsby Massengill, whatever her name is. This begins with the Office of Children and Family Services, Child Abuse and Treatment Register, all the way in Albany. This is me, John Maiden, 3041 Runnymede Drive, back at my mom's house. All the way back on Kristen's birthday, March 13th, 2013. There's all your intake case IDs, date of intake, nonsense, whatever. It goes on to say, and this is by New York State, once again, by the Office of Children and Family Services. It says, Dear Mr. Maiden, recently you were notified of the existence of a report of suspected child abuse or maltreatment under the above case ID. The original notification explained that the matter was under investigation. We can now inform you that as a result of the assessment made by the local Child Protective Service, no credible evidence was found to believe that the children or child has been abused or maltreated. Therefore, the report has been determined, quote unquote, unfounded. Then it goes on to recite, and, according to New York law, please note, if you had previously been informed, unfounded report, how it's treated. And this was by someone named Linda A. Joyce, Director, State Central Registry, Child and Welfare. So this is New York. This isn't like, Pennsylvania, some faraway land, that New York doesn't talk to or something like that. This is actually the horse shit that Clinton County piles on. It's horse shit on a ciabatta roll, so I hope you like ciabatta rolls. Here's another one from the Clinton County Department of Social Services. This one is dated March 29th, 2013. It's got case IDs. It's got an intake date of March 25th, 2013. Here we go. Here's another one. This is now, a year after I've been out of Pennsylvania with Kristen. And here we go. These knuckleheads are allowing this to continue. But here, we're, now 10 years into this, and they still allow this to continue. It's right there from lovely Durkee Street. It's Clinton County. There's the seal. Everybody involved. Jay LePage. It says, John, this is to inform you that you are the person named in a report of suspected child abuse or maltreatment received by the New York State Child Abuse and Maltreatment Register on March 26, 2013. This means you've been named in the report. This report has been transmitted to the Clinton County Child Protective Services for commencement of an investigation and evaluation of the report as required by the New York State Child Protective Services Act. This law allows local blah, blah, blah. If the report is determined to be unfounded, meaning there is no credible evidence, or abuse of maltreatment, all information which would identify or other persons named in the report will be legally sealed by the state central register and the local child protective services. An unfounded report may only be unsealed and made available either to a child protective service or state agency investigating. Basically, I have a lot of protections, and they've all been violated by who? They've been violated by Keith Bruno, Timothy Lawless, Alan Cruikshank, Cheryl Maxwell, Child Protective Services, the Department of Social Services, Andrew Wiley in the District Attorney's Office. They all know that this exists. They all know that I've never abused my children or committed domestic violence or child abuse of any kind. And their own agencies investigated this. And as this goes on in this exhibit, which I used as part of this, it says it's confidential and can be only released by certain authorized persons. And then down here it goes to say this case was investigated and unfound of as of May 2nd, 2013. So for the lovely Keith Bruno to keep allowing this stuff to be used against me again and again in court is highly discriminatorily, highly prejudicial, and biased. But that's the name of his game. And yet, he will not recuse himself. That should be criminal. This guy is criminally abusing my children and has criminally abused my rights. This guy has gone way beyond the pale. So has Lawless. Like we talked about in the previous video, you saw the conspiracy. Now you see these conspiracies put into action against me. This one, we've got Kristen Dupree against me, the order directing an investigation. Now here's appearances. Look, we've got, who's this? Keith M. Bruno, Esquire, with and for Kristen M. Dupree. This is Keith Bruno, as Kristen's attorney in the very same matters that we are talking about here 10 years later. On that very basis alone, that these are the identical matters that this guy is using against me, knowingly false against me, again and again in court, should be enough to just reverse this stuff so that I can sue these people in civil court. So here we go. We got Richard Cantwell as the attorney for the subject children. I tried to get a subpoena for him, which Bruno blocked. And then again, we have here, the lovely puppet master of this whole shit show, Timothy J. Lawless, family court judge. He says that Kristen Dupree, having filed in this court a petition under Article 6 of the Family Court Act, way back on September 13th, 2012, requesting custody of the children named in the petition, in which Lawless never mentions that my daughters were born and raised from the times of their birth until April 2012 in Pennsylvania. This guy never even looks at Pennsylvania. That's a complete joke, and Lawless is a complete joke. So it goes on to say that it's now further ordered, pursuant of the Family Court Act of 1034, that the Clinton County Department of Social Services, CPS, is directed to conduct a child protective investigation, as that term is described by the New York State Social Services law of the named children, and report its findings to the court. It is further ordered, blah, 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 3 business days. Now look, here we go. That's October 23rd, 2012. It's signed by the illustrious Timothy J. Lawless, super judge, and you can barely see when it was entered and sealed, but it's there. Now look. Okay. So here's the results, of, when they first initiated this. You go back to say to yourself, wow, I remember that, everything in here was unfounded and baseless. There was no evidence of anything found again and again in this documentation. But I wonder who initiated the whole thing. I wonder who started this. I mean, Kristen must have, gone to court somewhere. Kristen must have started somewhere, right? So you can see up here, under the State of New York Unified Court System, Clinton County Family Court, the relevant information. Here's the notice of receipt of a court-ordered report. This information is provided below regarding a report which has been received in this office and is available for your review. If desired, a copy will be provided upon receipt of an affirmation from your office. So here's the report. It came from, Clinton County Department of Social Services. The date's March 14th, 2012. Aurelia, blah, 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 all this different kind of stuff. And look here. Look who got a copy of the report. Look who was served with a copy. Keith Bruno, Kristen's attorney. Richard Cantwell, attorney for the children. And me, of course. All the way back on October 29th, 2012. So let's get this straight. Keith Bruno has participated in a conspiracy against John Maiden with Timothy Lawless, Kristen Dupree, now Kristen Carnahan, and virtually a revolving door of guardians ad litem and other lackeys for the court that apparently don't have any problem with lying in open court as long as they're doing it in front of their buddy Keith Bruno. But make no mistake about it, Keith Bruno, when he represented Kristen Dupree in 2012, 2013, and 2014, took numerous illegal actions against John Maiden and absolutely against the civil rights of John Maiden and his children and against any type of what would be valid legal process. This guy needs to be held accountable. Lawless needs to be held accountable. It's obviously Bruno who initiated the investigation, and when the investigation came back with some other, result than what he expected, he has ignored it until this date. Knowingly ignored it, knowingly allowed people to come into his courtroom and make false accusations against me, as now you see the result of this, where you have 20 different docket numbers on a scheduling order from this jackass and his deliberate attempts to dismiss this thing and make sure that I have no opportunity to parent my children. Now, as far as ignoring my parental rights, that is an extremely high bar. And Clinton County doesn't even bother with it. All they bother to do is, ask Cheryl Maxwell to stand up there and tell some half-assed lie in court about abandonment. And if there's one thing you can see from any of this, I never abandoned my children. And it's specific in New York state law that accusing somebody of abandonment for any period of time, especially when during the last year I've been diagnosed with cancer, and for the last 2.5 years there's been a pandemic going on, is absolutely ridiculous. And knowing in that time that I've been in this court's face again and again, asking for visits or some type of Zoom calls or anything that would suffice. And do you know who stopped that from happening? Do you know what agency has stopped those visits or any type of communication from happening? So that even when my daughter's lives are threatened, as they were back in May with Ricky Carnahan and a loaded handgun, my daughters don't even have my phone number. They can't even call their dad because of Cheryl Maxwell. They can't even have contact with me. They've denied me telephone contact when I was laying in a hospital bed following brain surgery. They've denied me every type of communication imaginable with my children. And it's absolutely disgusting, which is why I've got to have a poster like this on my wall that absolutely gives me the ability to just chill out and find a nice little Zen moment and recognize the corruption of Keith Bruno, and these people will be held accountable. It's really interesting that in today's mail I received Cheryl Maxwell's response to the 330-page document put together by my attorney. And basically in this document, all Maxwell does is double down again that this half-assed judge, Keith Bruno, can basically do whatever he wants. And she thinks that's okay because her attorney, Kristen Carnahan, and now that she doesn't like Kristen Carnahan anymore, Maxwell has a new client. Her new client is Lynn Ormsby Massengill, whatever her name is. And these people allowed my children, these are traumatized little girls who have just been through sheer hell for who knows how long, but at least since May. Now, these jackasses allowed my children to be put on a plane, my traumatized little girls put on a plane and taken to Alabama by Lynn. I mean, it's just insane. At some point in time, my daughters had to be put in foster care. I want to know who the hell put them in that status and then decided that they didn't have anywhere to go and absolutely bypassed me. I have an idea that it's Maxwell Smart. Cheryl Maxwell is an absolute snake in the grass. And, I'm going to get her on the stand if this goes that far. If this judge is that stupid to continue down this road, then by all means, we're going to call everybody. Maybe I'll go in the courtroom and give him a little Al Pacino and Justice for All. You're out of order. You're out of order. This whole court's out of order. I mean, I'll do my best. I'm going to call Lawless. Let's see if we can get Lawless to come downstairs and take the stand. He'll lie. He doesn't care. He thinks he's God. Anyway, peace out.